Good afternoon. My name is Adam Scariglia, and today I'm going to be doing a TED Talk on critical thinking and how it relates to the 10-part Netflix docuseries, The Keepers. First, a little thoughts about critical thinking. What is it? How do we come up with a question, analyze possible solutions, select the problems, solutions that we have, and then incorporate them into our everyday life? For me, I have a 5-part little step-by-step way that I go about when I do critical thinking. First, I formulate a question. Whether that question pertains to the subject or not is very important. Keeping these questions as concise as they can be to formulate a possible answer that is exactly what we need to find. Taking in information and other type of data in order to analyze it and figure out what type of data we need to have in our answer is very important. Sometimes we have poor solutions and we need to eliminate them. And sometimes we have high quality thoughts versus low quality thoughts. Taking the time to divide them into different columns and keeping your high quality thoughts while eliminating your low quality thoughts is very important. Lastly, after I come up with my solution, I like to look at other people's solution to the problem to see if we have anything in the same ideas, same kind of answer. This doesn't always happen. Sometimes my ideas and thoughts get thrown out, some of theirs get thrown out, but at the end of the day, finding a way to come up with the most concise and correct answer while still taking the time to be creative is very important. Today, I'm going to go into a little bit of critical thinking with the docuseries The Keepers, as I said before. A brief overview about The Keepers is it is about a woman named Kathy Sesnick, a Catholic nun who was murdered November 4th, 1969 in Baltimore, Maryland. Her case today still remains unsolved. The tip of the case started in 1990 when two women who went to the school spoke up about the priest there, Father Maskell, sexually abusing them. From there was some type of magic moment or thoughts that, oh my goodness, did he have anything to do with Kathy's death? And digging in further, talking to other people that have experienced the horrible things that he did to them, that we find out that Kathy was just about to speak up to the higher-ups about this possible wrongdoings that Father Maskell was doing to the poor children there. Here comes the kicker, though. After the murder, it is said that he took one of the students to where her body was left for dead and said, if you speak up about what is going on here, this will happen to you. That's clue one that may relate him to this murder. But the Catholic Church does not take that comment as fact. So, many years later, this murder still remains unsolved. So Kathy Sesnick murdered November 4th, 1969, and 4 days later, a woman who lives right down the street by the name of Joyce Malecki is also murdered. Both cases remain unsolved. The Baltimore PD still have no solid leads on what could possibly happen. So, taking you into the series, goes episode by episode, we come to find out that Father Maskell also brought in police officers and other people to sexually molest these poor students. We understand that these people thought it was okay, but clearly it's not. And having the police department, possibly the people that he brought in, only makes this case even fuzzier. So down the road, we find out about a man named Billy Schmidt. Billy Schmidt, no relation to Edgar Maskell at all, is possibly a suspect. He lived downstairs from Kathy Sesnick and down the street from Joyce Malecki. Here we find a little bit about Billy. It is said that he went over to Kathy Sesnick's apartment next door while his nephew was there in his own apartment. His nephew tried to come over to the apartment one night, and he sent his nephew back home. Later, he goes and takes his nephew on his car ride with the nephew's father and another man to the wooded area where the body was possibly left. There, the son says in a voice recording that there could have been a body placed there while he was shooting guns with his father to keep his mind off of what they were doing. It is also said that Billy Schmidt's mother heard him muttering about a nun up in the attic. The nun up in the attic. He kept on saying. He kept on saying, and he kept on saying. Later in life, Billy finally committed suicide, which led was stemmed from possibly the nun in the attic that haunted him, and other drugs and alcohol that he abused to try to get over what he did to that poor girl. That's also another important clue. Another important clue related to Billy Schmidt is that there is a potential cigarette butt, a Virginia Slim, that was left there at the murder scene where Kathy Stenzik's body was. It has been tested for DNA, but there was no match, and there hasn't been a test on Billy's DNA because he's passed away so long ago. The next potential suspect, besides Father Maskell and Billy Schmidt, is Edgar Davidson. Edgar Davidson, no relation to the two, just as before, is said to come home on the night of her murder, November 4th, 1969, with a bloody shirt on, and he told his wife that he got into a bar fight. Along with coming home with a bloody shirt, he gave his wife a green gemmed necklace. It is said that Kathy actually was going out for a gift for her sister for her wedding engagement and was going to buy her something of that sort. Kathy's sister was born in August. The gem is green. That relates to August. Now, no one could ever tell that this was her necklace that he took off her when he possibly murdered her, but we'll still never know. Another important clue. A fourth important clue is that Edgar Davidson is actually a 2-foot driver. And when inspecting the car that Kathy was supposedly put in to be brought to the woods, it is said that there was different types of footprints on each brake. Some had mud on them from the woods, while the other shoe print didn't have as much wood. And it led officers to believe that it could be a potential 2-foot driver. These potential clues all need to be taken into the fact and understand that the Catholic Church was trying to hide Father Maskell in the first place. He was sent to 4 to 5 different parishes during the time that he was around. Luckily for us, he passed away early, and we don't have to worry about him, but the problem is we did not get any DNA from him. They recently have exhumed his body and are looking into his DNA right now as we speak. So, the clues we have are Billy Schmidt, could have been the murderer, potential cigarette left at the scene of the crime, and he mumbled about the nun up in the attic. Edgar Davidson came home with a bloody shirt the night of her murder, and also the green necklace, which never correlated to his wife, which is very, very interesting. Father Maskell, who knew Kathy, knew about what he was doing to the girls in his office. And then you have the Catholic Church could be covering up, or the Baltimore Police Department. So taking that in and trying to formulate my own conclusion, very, very, very difficult. But what I have come to decide is that Billy Schmidt's family and Edgar Davidson's family almost just want this to be folklore that their two relatives were related to this murder. I believe that Father Maskell and potentially even someone in the Baltimore PD could have had something to do with her murder. We may never know, but hopefully we can find the clues and surmise an actual conclusion to be able to lay her body to rest and Joyce Maleki's body to rest. Taking into the fact and understanding all the different types of information that are there for this murder case are just so difficult. And critical thinking is very important when doing this, because you can kick out some of the facts that aren't important. But there are so many facts and thousands of pages of files that have not been seen because they're kept in the Catholic diocese and police departments because the case is still open. Hopefully one day we can get to this data and figure out what is going on and get to the bottom of this heinous murder. But taking the time to use critical thinking, finding out my own solution or answer to who murdered Kathy Stenzik. If you have a few hours to spare out of your day, please take the time to check out The Keepers on Netflix and see if you can formulate an answer to this problem that we hopefully can one day solve the murder of Kathy Stenzik and Joyce Maleki. Thank you. Have a good day.